Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to the initiation of, and this hasn't happened in a while, in a bit of a while, an installation, a brand new, starting fresh. It came from the Workbench installment, and this one, the number is hard to forget. It is not sequentially correct, let's be honest. But it came from the Workbench volume 41, and it has to be 41. Why does it have to be 41? Because it has to be 41. This was sent in by a channel member and all-around fantastic human being who, upon, I guess, hearing and seeing my glee upon driving the FMS 1941 Willys, they were successful in locating just the body. It is fresh out of its little styrofoam container that it comes in, and it has been here for a hot minute because I was running over and over in my head what I wanted to do with it. Did I want to make it a leafer and put some leaf under it? And I actually attempted to go that route by purchasing a 1/6 scale FMS Jimny, only to find out that the Jimny and the 1941 share, in terms of structural componentry, share virtually nothing in common. So it went back in the box and it sat, and I thought, and then I watched maybe one too many of those clips of those Germans that take these 1941 bodies and they make these insane trail rigs out of them, most of them sitting on AR-60s. And as the AR-60 is becoming something of a, I don't know, what's the equivalent of a dinosaur unicorn? Like, the AR-60 doesn't date back that far, but it's almost as if Axial pretends they don't exist. So sourcing parts or full AR-60 axles is becoming increasingly difficult. So I just use a combination of Amazon, A-Main, and Jenny's, and we're going to go the modern version of the AR-60. Look at that, from the Jenny's axle. Holy moly. Those RTR rifts, Axial does not mess around. So this is what we're going to go to for axles. And here's the thing about it came from the Workbench volume 41. These are the only certainties of this build. It's going to have this body sitting on these axles. I'm most likely going to fabricate my own rails. I am not committed to any power plant of any kind. It could be a Fusion, it could be an Outrunner, it could be brushed. I don't know. I'm not dead set on tires. They're more than likely going to be 2.2s because of the width, to get something that looks scale proportionate. Could be LP 5 1/4s, could be full-size 5.75s. I have no idea, and I'm not going to make a commitment either way. It will be what we're going to do today. Here's the goal in episode 1. I thought that I had everything on hand. I've got underdrive for the rear axle. I've got a regular diff for the front axle. I thought I had everything I needed. We've got the Nux from Jenny's. You just picked it all up on Jenny's. Could I have done it more inexpensively? Yeah, you can get knockoff RB14s on Amazon for like $100 a pair. Because I had to buy winter evening, I needed the 12 by 18 by 4, the big old boys. It was the one thing I didn't have. The big old carrier bearings for the ring gears. And I'm doubting myself. I measured it like 5 times. Did not bother to get a manual out though. No, there we go. Yeah. Okay, we're good. So even if we count I think I spent $8.99 on 10 bearings. So I went with 2 SSD lockers to hold my ring gears because honestly that's like the cheapest way to go, unless you already have rift parts laying around. So including the Jenny's order and the A-Main order and then getting some bearings off of Amazon, I'm sitting at about, I want to say about $160 for the axles, which for the size of the axle, I think that's just fine. I'm also going to dig through my bins. I think, yes I do. I don't think, I know. Stuff that was removed from RoboKitty, my Rift. So I will dig through the scale bin. Hopefully they're all in here. There's 2. Oh. There's 3. Oh, I'm seeing, there's 1. Yeah. We'll have all the bits. I'll have to source some hardware. RoboKitty has gone to full aftermarket everything. Tree-all axles. She bears little resemblance to the Rift that she was born as, other than the cage and the width and the etc. All right. I'm just minding my own here. All right. I'll have to source all the hardware. So, again, no commitments. Oh, hold on, wait, bear with me. I, of course, after ordering all of this, I want to say that, like, it came in a bundle. Like, there was one bag that was the front and rear, and then it was the axle housings with all of the link mounts. And I think the axle housings with the link mounts was, I don't know, like $25. Of course, I ordered them while sitting in the house, and then came outside and was like, oh boy. Totally did not need to order those. So, well, look. Oh, we can put a tree-all front cover on one just because we have it. And then there's all the plastics again. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess we've got backups. Sometimes you don't check the bins, and by sometimes I mean most of the time I don't check the bins. So I didn't know what I had and didn't have. So let us get some RB14s put together. I think I've got some 2.2 Canyon trails mounted up on some Revolt inserts. Those are sitting there. And I've got some Tusk LPs on, definitely feels dual stage. I think they're ones that I like constructed of my own, what have you. About the same size. I mean, we'll see what looks right. Somewhere around here on the bench, I've got the big full blast 575 Baja Pro X, which I think are amazing looking. And I will have to try to find, I want to try to find a 2.2. They have not been obtained yet. Like, I don't want to fit it with something like this. I just don't. Not the tire, the wheel. So I'm going to have to peruse the various corners of the internet. I want to find a 2.2 that's kind of like this. Kind of dishy. Not like a typical steely. Not something with a lot of spokes. We'll see what we can find. We will see what we can find. This one will be a build that goes on at a non-specified rate of speed, because we're just kind of do it in between. It's going to be an absolute furnace today. So I finished my morning raking, and I was like, you know what we should do? We should go in, we should get those axles put together. And the only goal I have for today is, I've got foam. Like, I found these, I don't know what they're from, but I found these big foam blocks. I want to get this sitting on top of these axles, because in my head, the tires are way out here on the outside. But because this body's so big, let's be honest about it, I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, we'll see with the knuckle. We'll see how much cutting is going to have to eventually be done. But as I said, for the day, the only goal is axles. I still can't get over that. That's a lot of silicone grease. Get these put together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find all of the bearings. I'm going to dig up all the bearings, because we don't have those bearings. This one came with them, which is good, because I can just find the other version of that one. We'll get the diffs put together. I get to do all of that fun stuff, like I have, because we went Jenny's. Honestly, the only way to do it. I don't have any hardware to put anything together. So I will do the fun stuff. Who's playing Nero? Xylent is playing. I'll get some noise going here in the background for me. I will be back with you in just a moment after I've sourced my hardwares. And then we can get these. See, I got stuff to copy. That's nice. We will get 2 axles put together. Yeah, I got to find hexes. We'll slap them together. We'll set this thing down on axles. And then we can kind of figure out where we're going from there. The goal is to get... Yeah, there's some good... Oh, there's room for a tower. There's room for a tower. Front and rear. Okay. If I can get 90s on... We're getting too far ahead. Source hardware, build axles. Then we can start thinkerating. Firmly in the category of least surprising things you'll hear today, there are definitely upsides and downsides to buying your stuff from a dismantler, particularly if it's stuff that is put together the way the Rift is put together, where, like most notably, where the C-hub attaches to the axle. See, there's one lock nut in there. The lock nuts don't fit remarkably tight, so they're probably on the floor of whatever room that the Rift was disassembled in. The same goes for the 6x12 bearings that are doubled up. You've got one inside here and one inside. They do not stay. They just fall out. Yeah, a lot of pieces made their. If this is also bearings, yeah. This one had no outer bearing here. One of them was missing. There's 6x12x4s. I've got quite a lot of them. Also, the SSD spools, ordinarily, the process is pull it out of the package, slap it together. Maybe throw some thread lock on it like we have now. You could smell the grease, the anti-corrosion stuff that was put on them as soon as you open the bag. So these got the brake clean treatment. I will snug these by hand, and I have to. Okay, we're gonna stagger about a little bit because I would like to ensure to myself that we're putting the underdrive in the rear axle. That's kind of a thing. This whole thing came about again by accident. We had other intentions, and then things pop up. And one of those things was RoboKitty was getting a update / refresh because I felt like the clock is ticking on Rift stuff. I fear for the RB17. They had already discontinued the kit. The RTRs have been on effectively blowout clearance more than once and then just kind of come back. And the aftermarket support, I don't know how much aftermarket support we're going to see for Rift stuff into the future. So I figured now's a good time to throw some parts on RoboKitty, get her into, we're going big greasy. Get her into a condition that I'm happy with. So I ordered a bunch of parts, including the gear, which I just moments ago installed. Put that over there. The 4313 underdrive gears, only to discover, as I was swapping her axle housings, guess what? She already has them. So it wasn't one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go through the rigmarole of returning this and make A-Main go through the rigmarole of returning this because I ordered it. That's my mistake. I'll throw it in a bin. At some point in the inevitable future, we'll more than likely build another set of RB14s. Here we are. Yeah, also, as most dismantlers do, it's pretty common practice. So, do we want... Yeah. It is to gather all the hardware together, and all the hardware goes in one bag, and then folks on the internet can buy bags of hardware. So should you find yourself in this position, what you're either going to want to do is, if you're not already a Rift owner, you're going to want to like find or download, most likely download the manual for the Rift kit, so that you will know what length fasteners. Did I do that? No. I'm mostly guessing. If it looks correct, it's probably correct. Pull that out. I managed to find all of the hexes, all of the brake rotors. They use I don't know if I would go so far as to call it proprietary, but the screw pin that they use to attach their hexes has a very short threaded portion on it. If you try to use one that has a big threaded portion on it, it will stick out the back side of the hex, and then you'll be like, why won't my wheels go on? Source. Well, you know I've done it. I noticed it's M2 to attach the brake rotors. So, perfect opportunity to dig into the Injora scale hardware bin. Get some little M2s. Should be plenty strong enough for holding on a fake brake caliper. There we go. Look, it's nice. It's nice. Now that, once I started putting them together, I was like, well, I mean, now do you want a big, like, solid disky type wheel that's going to obscure all that? And the answer to that is a resounding, well, now I don't know. There we go. At a real time getting the other side in. And I remember things, isn't it amazing? Is the human mind not amazing to you? I remembered that in the front, you can install your calipers and rotors, but in the rear, you cannot, because the screws that hold on, what do they call them, deletes? The screws that hold these in, as you can see, definitely go behind where the rotor goes, so those have to go in first. That's a big axle, is it not? That is a big axle. But get that grease moving around. Oh yeah. It's crazy that you can definitely feel the grease move around. And once it's moved around, it doesn't feel so ratchety. Good fitment on the carrier, the spool, inside the bearings. Also amazing. I think the most amazing thing is that the rotors are running pretty true. We don't have a bunch of rubbing on the caliper. I deleted them. Okay, that screw's gone forever. Not forever. We use I bought a broom. Okay, little side anecdote. I bought a broom on Amazon, which is a crazy thing, and I was like, how are they going to ship me a broom? So the handle for the broom came in like 3 pieces. So you had to thread the handle together. And that wasn't the worst part. I mean, a thread together handle, that's fine. It can be perfectly functional. The sticking point was that the bristles on the broom are so unthinkably soft. Like, it is the softest broom I've ever encountered. So it sat over in a corner, hanging on a peg for a long time. And then I was like, you know what? Let me grab that broom, and I want to try something. And as I've said in the past, I have most of my workbench and work area was made out of leftovers, so there's leftover bamboo hardwood flooring that makes my floor. And I gotta tell you, that extremely soft bristle broom, it works great down there. And it finds all of the, well, most nuts, bolts, axle pins. It's probably like a 70%. We probably find 70% of it. The other 30% is sadly located by the vacuum cleaner, by the shop vac, and as such, never seen again. For those, again, unfamiliar with the RB14, outside of hex to outside of hex is 260 millimeters, maybe 262. So if you're running a wide offset 2.2, black how? Wide. Did I thread lock all of them? Yes. Good for me. Thankfully, the SSD spools came with hardware, not just hardware, but graded hardware, so I don't have to deal with any of that. Perfect. I've done it before. I'll do it again. So the SSD spool has what I call speed holes, which are where a manufacturer in the machining process just puts a bunch of holes. Well, you see those holes are pretty much on the exact same circular plane. So you rotate it and your 4 screw holes line up and you go, oh, perfect. And you're going to put the screw in and nothing happens. So you rotate it about, that 15 degrees or so, and you do it again, you go right through the other empty hole. I'm not saying that that's what I did. I'm saying that that's what can happen. I do non-reversible, which is, that's a thing, but definitely easy to tell which direction your spool goes in. I have now what I've misplaced is my gear cover. All right, I said I had a triol. I don't know what I did with it. I'll put a stock one on. It's not a problem with the... Yeah! If you're going to grease over grease. It is not a problem to change a gear cover on these the way they're laid out. This one's super clean. This is definitely the gear cover that came with it. So if I have to change them in the future, so be it. Also, the servo going in, I dug through the servo bin. It is a Flash Hobby 45 kg receiver powered. If that does not prove to be up to the task, or we opt to go with something in the smaller outrunner area, honestly, if it looks like the fitment underneath, when we get to the chassis stuff, if it looks like the fitment underneath leans more towards an outrunner, it is a 99.5% chance that it is going to be a Rhino V80. So let's see. Let's see if we can get this on the first shot. Just give it a little twist. Not clockable. So the caster is your caster, and thou shalt not get upset about it. It is a little finicky because there's a rib on both sides, so you've got to get everything lined up, and then I'm watching the pinion here to see when it starts to turn. That's how we know when we're getting close. We're not getting close. Some of these, getting these in, sometimes feels like it's like trying to crack a safe. I don't think we need the 1.5 anymore. That's nice. 25s through here. They're going to be a little snug. Let's see if I chose right. Could get away with 24s. But I opted for 25s. They stick out past the screw a little bit. As I said, wasn't going to dig around for a manual. It's definitely secure. So we've got a little bit past. Better a little bit past the nylon than not going all the way through the nylon. Let's even got the limiter screws installed. I generally don't install those. We'll leave them on there because I do have some small. What did I say about the lock nuts not fitting tightly in there. More for the floor. More for the floor. Let's see if we can get this guy to go more easily. It's a square spline at the end. So we're doing the safe cracker mechanism. There we go. The long one went much more easily than this short one. And get this. Check this out. I got the right knuckle on the right and the left knuckle on the left. Did I pay explicitly close attention to the L and the R that are on the C hubs? No, God no. We just go. Just go. And I also could not recall, for the life of me, you see this link mount has got a little curvy on it. Like, my brain was like, that one goes on the back. And this one is a little short one. And I was like, that one goes on the front. We're probably not going to be using a lot in the way of the positions. Like, will the shocks line up inside the double shear to mount on the chassis? I don't know. However we have to use this, because the axle is so big, we definitely have room to mount the shock on the outside if it needs to be on the outside. It looks like there's enough room to mount it on the inside if it needs to go on the inside. Because the body, the chassis doesn't exist yet. I want to DIY it. But the body is really going to determine a good bit of shock and link position. So we're kind of at the mercy of the body. If the memory serves in this instance, I believe the servo goes this way. I learned with RoboKitty when swapping to an alloy housing that as you just saw, the servo has to be fed in from the front. Which means you have to unplug it. Okay. What we're doing now is a nothingness compared to swapping to the Trial alloy housing that I did on RoboKitty, because you have to take the whole front end of the vehicle apart to change that housing. I mean, it wasn't awful. I just grabbed a horn. The Rift comes with this big old, that you can get aftermarket versions of this. Somewhere I have the little spline adapter. It obviously comes with a 23 stuffed in there for a Spectrum servo, but we're just going regular Futaba 25. I am going to put a little shorty in here so that it doesn't fall off. In the bag of my Jenny's order, I also, because of this IRL Tyrod, I went ahead and ordered the big bag with the trailing arms and everything, and was honestly thinking, okay, we need like 30s. We need like 30s or 27s. How's 27 look? Oh, it's 27s. We could trailing arm this. I mean, that would look cool. This is kind of, if I didn't state it outright at the beginning, at the initiation of this, this is kind of the Canyon's take on a trail rig, where, in my mind, a trail rig involves sacrifice. That's why it's called a trail rig. It isn't specifically that it's better at trailing. It's that we're going to give up something to get something. And what I'm going to give up is the limits, the upper limit of pure performance. I am exchanging that for the phantasmagorical beauty of the 1941 Willys, which I believe at this juncture I will be completely repainting. So I don't think we're going to have a military theme there. Oh, there's a part I didn't consider. Is there a loose one in the bag? No, but I have some. You're not working. You ain't building unless you've got every screw bin out. I think, is it a tall one? No, it's a little short one. As I said, I've replaced a lot of the links. I've replaced a lot of the parts of my other Rift. I'm definitely going to end up spending more on this build to get this thing to a point of operability than I spent to get RoboKitty built as a crawler, turning a bouncer into a crawler. And I had this inkling in me of wanting, of a desire to use these, like, as banana hands and no frame of reference, right? Rifts are big. Rifts are pretty big if you've not been up close and personal with one. All right. So here's a hodgepodge AR-44, and here's an RB-14. Like, they're really big. And the factory axles that go under, let's see how we can do this, that go under the old ye old willies here are much closer in size to an AR-44 than they are to a Rift axle. But despite it being the Canyon take on a trail rig, it's got to be able to do the thing. It's got to be able to do the thing. So for today, let us slap it about. How do these feel, by the way? Pretty nice. Better. That incision gear is definitely SSD incision. I threw the bag away. It was incision, right? I feel like the incision gear is smoother than the factory. Well, why wouldn't it be? The incision one is machined, and the factory ones are like pot metal cast. Let us grab a wrench. These are closer. I can grab these easier, more easily. So let's put some 2-2 tusks on here. Then we'll also get an idea of what we're looking at track width. Whee! Oh, did we want large? Yeah. And so and so we shall have it. It's looking appropriately wide. Do I have any foolhardy notions that the bag of this guy, the Bago Lynx, will work? Well, the Bago Lynx is going to work. I have no desire to go high clearance. If we can get away with straight links, particularly the turnbuckle style links that they use, absolutely. Grip it and rip it. And as I said, we are going to we got one brake rotor that's a little on the iffy side. I'm building the chassis. So that looks weird, doesn't it? Yeah, that's better. I'm building the chassis so I can just put the link positions where they need to be. Now I'm really thinking, I'm really wondering if we can get trailing arms into there. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. It would look cool too. And I have them, and I have more of them. And I have the ones from the kit somewhere. The kit has metal stiffening plates on the outside. So that's stuff that has to be dug for. I got to dig those out. I don't know where those are. Oh, yeah. Track width. Right. You are correct. 325. 325 on these tires. And Tusk LPs are a fair narrow. Yeah, there's definitely a little something. Something. Like, see how it comes to a sudden erp? Whereas, yeah, something tightened down. Did I get too overzealous here? Yeah, I did. It's that quarter turn, baby. It's that quarter turn. All right. Potentially might have to bolt up some links just to keep the axles from trying to flop-a-roo. I want to say that the wheelbase on the chassis is about... Yeah, it's in that 313 area. That's what's crazy about the... Think of that. 6th scale around a 12-inch wheelbase. Because, yeah, what were these guys? Like 87, 86, 87-inch wheelbase, something like that? Okay, so if that guy's there, that guy should be right about... Okay. Well, we definitely have the width. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, let me see if I can't, like, position this thing to, like, look like something. All right, so I'm just basically cramming tires under it to try to get it to sit remotely okay. Basically, at the axle width, so these rims have a little bit of dish in them. They're not fully flat out in the front. Also, now that they're on there, I don't hate them. I don't hate them. Would I prefer if it was like... I would actually prefer if the wheel was a little more open, a little more open space, and a little less spokey. Like a 5-spoke or a 6-spoke, something like that, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to search through. I'm going to peruse the 2.2s. Also, they are on either 22 or 23 millimeter offset adapters, which, again, putting this out to like that 325, 330 width, it might be too wide, but it's a good option to have. Better to be too wide because these are, you know, a little bit of dish. Probably, let's say like 4 or 5 millimeters of dish. We can go down to like a 9 millimeter hub and really tuck these in if we don't have clearance issues. Now, sitting as it sits now, the 525 looks like it's going to be the pajama jammy jam, right? I mean, right up in there. If anything, yeah, there's the bottom of the deck. Little bit of Dremel work along here, basically feather the edge out so that the tire will fit up there, in there a little more easily. Yeah. We are going to go at this thing so gradually. Next time around, we will get... you know what? That would be wild. That'd be wild. I don't think we can get the shock position to work with the trailing arms. Sadly. Trailing arms would be amazing, but look at the length of the trailing arm relative to the length of the chassis. Because we're talking a rift axle, which is something that I want to say a rift comes in around 375 millimeters or 400 millimeter wheelbase. They're very long. And now, in order to stay with this, I think the most we could cheat the front end out. We are right now, that's about 313 right there. That size tire, that LP tire looks tremendous with that body. Oh, we might be a little too wide, that's fine. I'm seeing we might get a little bit of issue right under here. The fender, there's a big chunk that comes down right here. And the biggest, now you're going to get to see the contraption that I used to get the body to sort of sit in place. There we go. Right about like, oh, I love it. I love it so much. We just shoved a bunch of stuff under there to get it to sit up. The biggest thing that we might have holding us back is right here in between the floor pans. So right in there, that's our width. So we've either got it, now we can remove the whole, it's got the full engine bay in it, and for battery and getting stuff in like that, like I say, this is a trail rig, is built to be a trail rig that has to be able to do the things. So I'm not completely attached to having the, I mean, on the one hand, I could paint up the engine and make it look nice. On the other hand, I could delete that whole panel altogether, and that would give me place for forward motor mount with the battery beside it and whatever. If we just go, this is also a distinct possibility. There we go. If we go with something like this, which will be very easy to go with, as, yeah, that doesn't need a very wide chassis. If I can keep the chassis rails a little on the skinny, that'll be fine. So an FMM going like, oh, is that possible? No. Maybe the FMM upside down? So if we, oh yeah, there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room. So FMM up there, Outrunner will make it a lot easier. I mean, we can get it really far forward and fit whatever we want. Maybe we'll just try to get the motor as far, we'll get the FM, we will put the F in FMM and have the chassis come all the way forward and have the spur gear right behind the radiator. This was an Amazon Day purchase, that's why it's red. I don't really care. And then that will run down, let's just cut it open, man. Cut it open. Then we'll run down to the transfer case, which, oh yeah. We can get the transfer case like maybe right about there. Then we don't have to have the rails drop down to, ooh, yeah. It's about as low as we can get it right about there. We're doing it. Look, what did I say? I said we're going to put some RB14s together. Make sure we keep everything in a box so it doesn't get lost. This guy needs his own bin. Not just a bin. He needs a giant bin to fit his giant parts. I said that on the day we were going to build a pair of rift axles so that we could mock a body on top of it. And you know what we did? We did that. Parts of the dumb. There's just airsoft BBs falling out of those tires. So, okay. Oh no, not my shovel. It's all gonna have to come off anyway. Yeah, so we will start a bin. I'm gonna get it pared down. I will be removing like the stuff for the pop roof. I'll be taking that. I'll be removing the spare tire. We'll be leaving the fuel cell and the little grab handles. We'll be leaving the mirror and all the little handles. The tools will go back on the sides, but there will be some stuff omitted. This body didn't come with the little, I believe there's a little like rumble seat mechanism back here. We will most likely build a tray or something to cover over that. And I want to get all the electronics in the front. I don't know altogether what is going to go in the back of this. Another thing. Okay, last thing, promise. I want to do the thing that I see from those videos with the Germans where they make the steering wheel basically like continuous turn. The little servo that's in there now only turns the steering wheel about as much as the wheel on a controller works. And I've seen where they take the driver figure and they do some sort of wizardry to the, I'm pointing to my own shoulder. They do some sort of wizardry so the hand is on the wheel, and when it's turning, he's doing this motion right here, and then it goes around like that. I want that potentially more than anything that I want involved in the whole build. Driver figure chilling in the seat, doing this motion. This thing will more than likely get what is the equivalent of a Ghost Ride. I know I said it was the last thing. This is the last thing, in which I'm going to make no efforts to paint, modify, nothing. We're going to get a chassis to attach. There's the attachment points. We've got there, where the pins go through. Also, we're not limited. We're not limited at all. We can make what we need to fit what we need to fit. And we'll get to that. But, yeah. I think 22 LPs. I think these are going to be the guys. 22 Suss, maybe the Canyon Trails, maybe. We'll see. We will find out together. It came from the workbench, Vol.41. Did we do more today than we had intended? No, we just took longer to do it. But that is in the Canyon fashion. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here for this. If you've done anything like this in the past, particularly this, you got to let me know. You got to share that info, right? I have a couple 12-inch figures. One of them will probably be suitable. I would like him to have a mohawk. I don't know how I'll do that, but for some reason, I want him to have a mohawk. This is gonna be a thing. This is gonna be a thing. I'm pretty excited about it. We've got other projects to bounce back and forth in between. I'm just gonna clean up a little bit because I have an inability to finish these episodes. I don't want to let you go. So, I will thank you once again for joining us here in the Canyon for episode 1 here. We did a little something. I will see you again real soon. In between now and that time, I'd like to invite you as a collective to one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here. There we go. From the Canyon with more shenanigans. It's what we do. For those who have not seen the videos that pointed out from the background, when we say we take shenanigans seriously, guys, we take it seriously.